You've probably heard the term margin before, but do you know what margins mean? Because when we talk about securities margin and futures margin, we're really talking about two very different things, and understanding the difference is important. In the securities world, margin is the money you borrow as a partial down payment, up to 50% of the purchase price to buy and own a stock, bond, or ETF. This practice is often referred to as buying on margin. So how is futures margin different? Futures margin is the amount of money that you must deposit and keep on hand with your broker when you open a futures position. It's not a down payment, and you don't own the underlying commodity. Futures margins generally represent a smaller percentage of the notional value of the contract, typically 3 to 12% per futures contract, as opposed to up to 50% of the face value of securities purchased on margin. When markets are changing rapidly and daily price moves become more volatile, market conditions and the clearinghouse's margin methodology may result in higher margin requirements to account for increased risk. When market conditions and the margin methodology warrant, margin requirements may be reduced. Now let's look at some types of futures margin. Initial margin is the amount of funds required by the CME clearinghouse to initiate a futures position. While the CME clearinghouse sets the margin amount, your broker may be required to collect additional funds for deposit. The other type is maintenance margin. Maintenance margin is the minimum amount that must be maintained at any given time in your account. If the funds in your account drop below this level, a few things can happen. You may receive a margin call, where you will be required to add more funds immediately to bring the account back up to the initial margin level. If you don't or can't meet that margin call, you may be able to reduce your position in accordance with the amount of funds remaining in your account, or your position may be liquidated automatically once it drops below the maintenance margin level. Margin, a term used across multiple financial markets. However, there is a difference between securities margins and futures margins. Understanding these differences is essential prior to trading futures contracts.